Adaptations. Let's talk about the Witcher series. G'day to all you lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kathy, and today I wanted to talk about adaptations and in particular the Witcher series. I've been thinking about doing this video for a while actually, perhaps even making it a series, I'm not sure yet, where I discuss whether an adaptation of a book or series of books into films or TV shows has been successful or not, whether they work or they don't work, what I like about them, what I don't like about them. And I thought I would start with the Witcher series since I read it only recently and then watched the television series. This isn't so much going to be a review of the show itself on its own merits, rather whether it works as an adaptation of the books. To be honest, having read the books beforehand, my view of the show is going to be influenced by how I feel about the books, and I loved the books. Yeah, I have to admit that up front. And I should warn you that I am a bit of a purist. When a book is adapted, whether to film or TV, I want it to be as close to the source material as possible. Sometimes adaptations work in my opinion, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they are so unrecognizable that you feel like you're watching something completely different. That's not to say they can't deviate at all, but it cannot change the overall general story. If they start making characters, for example, completely different to what they are in the books, you have to wonder why. You have to wonder how it improves, if it does, the story in itself. But any significant changes, I think, should be necessary because of either time or money constraints or impracticalities. I don't want creators to just change it because they think they can do it better. In my opinion, they generally can't, though there are occasions where they have succeeded in changing something significant and actually improving the story. I just don't think it happens very often. Also, fair warning, I will be talking about spoilers, and if you have not seen the show or read the books, then you are better off waiting to watch this video until you have done one or both. Unfortunately, there is no way I can discuss this adaptation without touching on some spoilers. Now that that preliminary stuff is out of the way, we can move on to the video. First off, I wanted to say I really did enjoy the show. I think it's really well done. I always thought that fantasy was a perfect genre to go on the big screen, whether it's TV or film, because it is such a visual thing. And whilst I love that when you're reading books, you get to make your own visualizations of a world, I also like to see it translated to a big screen, to get to see all the wonderful effects or world that the author has created. Having spoken to a few people who had not read the books or even played the games, they actually really loved the show, and I can understand why. It is fantasy, of course. There are magical creatures. There is this very stoic and taciturn character, the Witcher himself, played by Henry Cavill, who I thought was perfect in the role. I don't think I can ever think of The Witcher without visualizing him now, because he just seemed to epitomize this role. I also thought they chose very well in the casting regarding the other characters, including Jaxia, who is known as Dandelion in the books, Yennefer and Siri. I thought the casting was really good actually, as well as the acting. The acting was good, even above average, in my opinion anyway. And I think the story overall is good, interesting, seems complex and compelling to watch. There are also several different species, of course, the dwarves and the elves. They seemed, I'll be honest, typical dwarves and elves. I will not lie, I am not usually a fan of dwarves and elves because it's something you see in almost every fantasy, but I thought they were realistic looking in the show. I like the visual look of the show, the feel of it. I like the locations that they chose. It seemed very epic in scale. I thought so anyway. I have had some criticisms that, for example, in the first season, some of the monsters didn't look that great, but I think by the time they got to the second season, it looked a lot slicker. It looked more professional, and I thought it was quite obvious they had a lot more money in season 2. If you like fantasy, I think you will enjoy watching this show, whether you've read the books or not. As an adaptation, however, was this a good adaptation? That is a difficult question to answer, actually. As I said before, if they change anything, it needs to be necessary for whatever reason. Some changes that they made to the show, I don't have an issue with, but I don't think they were as true to the source as they could have been. However, keep in mind, this show isn't over. There are still, I think, several seasons to go. So, of course, I'm only going to discuss the adaptation up to the end of season 2. I actually think season 1 was very true to the prequel books overall. There might have been some minor changes, but nothing really significant. They covered many of the short stories. They covered many of the significant events that do take place in the prequel books. So, of course, they added to it, which I don't have an issue with. Yennefer, for example, we did not get to see her backstory. We heard very little about it in the books, and yet they expanded that significantly in the show. And I actually think this was a good decision. I will also confess I hated Yennefer in the prequels, and it took me a long time to learn to like her. They made her much more likable in the show, I think. They also explained better what drove her, what motivated her. Jaxia, I think it's Jaxia, the troubadour musician who is called Dandelion. I don't understand why they changed the name, but regardless, he seems very close to the books, though his relationship with Geralt was much stronger, I think, in the books. That's not to say there weren't ever any hiccups, but it surprised me when they had that falling out in season 1 of the show. I didn't mind this falling out. It is true of friendship. Sometimes you do fall out. And I don't think it took away from the relationship that they had. The only thing I didn't like, however, was that I thought Geralt was quite mean to Jaxia in the first season in particular. And that was certainly not in line with the books. I didn't think so anyway. However, a mistake I feel that the creators made was not to include Ciri's meeting with Geralt when she was young, which is significant and a very crucial moment in her life, I think. It kind of established their relationship, the connection that they had from a very young age for Siri. I think she was only 10 or so. It would have given their reunion at the end of the season so much more emotional resonance, so much more power. It just didn't ring true for me. And not just because I read the books, I thought they don't know each other. I don't understand why they would feel so connected when they've never met before. The second season, however, is where they start deviating from the books. Some deviations are significant, some are not so much. They also include things that are not touched upon at all in the books. This mother who took over Siri never happens. And I don't know if it was even necessary. I think that is just the creators wanting to have big special whiz-bang effects at the cost of story. That's my view anyway. This religion that we hear of regarding Nilfgaard, I don't recall that in the books, and I don't think it was in the books. Personally, I didn't think that was necessary at all. Yes, the Emperor of Nilfgaard is very powerful, but I don't recall them ever treating him as a god. Fringilla, she has such a minor role in the books. It might be significant in some ways, but it is a very minor role. I did not think it improves the story at all to have her be this significant character in the show. I actually didn't like that at all, to be honest. There certainly wasn't any real conflict between the cabal of sorcerers because of Fringilla. Regarding the cabal and the politics involved, I actually did like that, even though that is not something we saw a lot of in the books. This actually I thought was an improvement. It gave me a better idea as to the different factions in the magical world. But Kahir. Now Kahir is a significant character in the books, and I really dislike that they have made him something completely different in the show. I think that really takes away from his character. I don't know if they're going to change that in the future, perhaps, but as I was watching the show I was thinking, how can Kahir be doing these things? This is not the character I know from the books. He should have just been any other Nilfgaardian, but not Kahir. This, I thought, was a major mistake on the part of the creators. It completely changed who this character is, his background and his relationship with the others. I am in two minds about this major revelation that we learn at the end of season 2 of the show, that the Emperor of Nilfgaard is in fact Ciri's father. We do not learn that until almost the very end of the books. I don't understand why it was revealed so early, and I think actually it might have been a mistake to reveal it this soon, because that was a major mystery in the book. Why was this Nilfgaardian emperor so intent on capturing Siri? Does it change the overall story? Perhaps not, but I don't understand why shows feel we need to have everything explained. I like having some mystery. It makes it more suspenseful. So you want to watch the next episode and the next one to learn what's going to happen. Why they decided to reveal this so early, I cannot even guess at. They also did change the elves, I guess. One of my complaints about the books was that they didn't really show us enough of the elves' perspective. And now they're making them out to be almost villainous by killing all these babies, which was just a horrific scene and not something that we read in the books. The elves, like the other non-human species in this world, have been treated unfairly, with prejudice, have been discriminated against, yes, but to now make the elves so ruthless, it is just going to make everyone hate them, and I don't think they deserve to be hated. Racism, I felt, was a major theme in these books, and whilst they touch lightly upon it in the show, I don't think they touched enough. And something else really significant which occurred and is different to the books is Yennefer betraying Siri. This never happened, and I think it is going to change their whole dynamic. This was not a good decision on the part of the creators. It significantly alters the relationships of our major characters. I did feel that in season 2 they started to shift away from the overall story in the books. And relationships. I'll be honest, most of season 2 I was like, I don't remember this happening in the books, and I couldn't see why they were even included. I don't know why Yennefer had to lose her powers, which never happens in the books. And with all these significant changes, because I think there were several in season 2, it didn't feel like a true or faithful adaptation of the books. That doesn't mean I didn't enjoy season 2, but I really don't like the direction that they're going. And I hope that they bring it more in line with the books in the future, but who knows? In summary, I would say that while season 1 was a good adaptation of the prequel books, season 2 was not. And if you are like me, a purist, you may not enjoy season 2. I liked season 1 better, which I think is contrary to what most people are saying. And the reason I liked season 1 better is because it is more faithful to the books. Now I'd like to hear your opinions if you've read the books and seen the show. Do you like this adaptation? Do you dislike it? Do you disagree with me or agree with me? You know, I always want to hear your opinions. And you can put it down in the comments, or you can contact me on Instagram. I really do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I might make this a series. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and as usual, I'm going to ask you like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!